I'm always looking for unwanted synthesizers and drum machines, whether they're functional or faulty. I hope to save as many of these fantastic machines and keep them working and making music for as long as possible. This is my synth quest. In this episode of Synth Quest, we take a look at the KORG Poly-800. The KORG PS800 synthesizer, better known as the Poly-800, is a 49-key multiphonic digitally programmable synthesizer that was released in 1983. With electronic advances such as memory storage, digitally controlled oscillators, and MIDI appearing in many popular synths at the time, the Poly-800 was offered as an incredibly affordable, feature-packed keyboard costing less than $800 US. Not only providing a maximum of 8 voices and 64-patch memory storage, but it also had built-in stereo chorus, a sequencer, chord memory, 3 6-stage digital envelopes, a 4-way joystick, portable battery operation, and MIDI. The Poly-800 had 2 case options available, a molded lightweight bag and a vinyl-covered latched hardshell case. It was also released in a reversed key option and a desktop module called the EX800. Later, the Poly-800 was updated as the Poly-800 II, which had a new black chassis, upgraded MIDI sysx functionality, and replaced the stereo chorus with digital delay. On the back of the unit are MIDI in-out sockets, program up pedal input which can be controlled with an optional PS1 foot switch, tape memory input and output sockets, program write and sequencer write on-off switches, left and right 1/4-inch mono outputs, 1/4-inch stereo headphone output, and a 9V DC input. On the top panel is a 4-way joystick which controls up and down pitch bends, LFO modulation, and filter modulation. There is the main volume control which also switches the unit on, and above that the master tuning slider. To the right is the pitch bend amount control and the sequencer section containing the sequencer playback speed slider, step enter button, and start stop button. Next are the play mode selection buttons, the program parameter access buttons, parameter value buttons, and the memory write button. The Poly-800 has 64 internal memory slots to save your programs. Externally, you can save to tape. If you want to save these patches externally but don't have a tape recorder, you can do this with any digital recording software. The table to the right shows the various parameter functions and their value ranges. There are 4 play modes. Poly mode plays like a normal keyboard and can play up to 8 notes in single oscillator mode and 4 notes in double oscillator mode. Chord mode allows the user to play any user-made chord by pressing a single key. Chords can be programmed into the unit and then replayed. Hold mode permanently sustains up to 8 notes at a time. Finally, there is a sequencer mode, which can play a continuous loop sequence of up to 256 notes long. Chords and single notes can be programmed in sequencer mode. The Poly-800 has 2 DCO sections and a noise generator. Each DCO has 4 oscillators that generate a square wave harmonic each. There are 2 waveform options, square and SAW, but these don't operate the same way as waveform selection in analog synthesizers. In square mode, each harmonic produces a regular square wave at the selected pitch range, ranging from the 16-foot, 8-foot, 4-foot, and 2-foot. Each oscillator can be switched on and off. Combining 2 or more harmonics in square mode produces octave doubling effects. In SAW mode, if all harmonics are turned on, an approximation of a sawtooth waveform is generated. When combined, the oscillators produce complex tones in a process called additive square wave synthesis. There is a low-pass filter with cutoff and resonance controls, envelope intensity settings, keyboard tracking, polarity control for the filter envelope, and envelope triggering options. There is a modulation generator that can affect amplitude, pitch, and filter intensity, and there are 3 envelope generators, one for DCO 1, one for DCO 2, and one for filter and noise generator. Each envelope has 6 stages: attack, decay, decay breakpoint, slope, sustain, and release. This 6-stage envelope allows for sophisticated timbral effects for realistic acoustic emulation and special effects. Let's take a listen. If you have the opportunity to purchase a Poly-800, I highly recommend checking the battery compartment for leakage and corrosion first. If it is clear at the battery cover opening, there is a chance it has leaked right at the back, so be thorough. It's also worth checking that the LED segments are all lighting correctly, and that all of the buttons work. Considering this synth is entirely controlled by digital processors and tactile switches, you'll definitely have problems if one of these is faulty. If you're handy with a soldering iron and not too precious about a few cosmetic alterations to the front panel, I recommend the Atom Smasher Moog Slayer mod. This will give you real-time control over the filter cutoff and resonance, and I also like the 12 and 24 decibel switch and the FM mod too. Adding any of these adds a lot more range and control to your Poly-800. The Poly-800 has polarized the synth community for some time, but keeping its design in context of the time it came out and the retail price that all of its features were made available, I can't help but see the Poly-800 as a great achievement. Regarding its reputation for having poor oscillators and a weak sound, I think this is remedied with a proper understanding and use of its oscillator architecture. KORG has always made reliable, affordable and feature-packed synths for those of us who may not be able to obtain the very high-end synths. From the Mini KORG 700 to the Poly-800 to the Mini Log, KORG have nurtured this synth-making ethos since the beginning. If you have any unwanted synths or drum machines, then you can donate them to SynthQuest for use in a future episode. Click the MadFame contact link in the description below to get in touch. Be sure to like and subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next episode of SynthQuest.